What I want to discuss is how z-index works, particularly with absolutely positioned elements that end up being stacked on top of each other. What I've created for this demo is a very basic HTML page that has 4 div containers. Now, the attribute these div containers share is that they all have 100% width, and that was just a visual thing, so it's easier to see in the screencast. Now, I've also created unique background colors for each one of these to help differentiate which is which. And if you look at my code, my CSS has that, and their IDs are box 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then if you look down at the HTML, the numeric order is the same way they're listed in there, so inherently they're going to just go be presented in that way. Now, we know that with absolute positioning, we could set top and left or right and bottom or any combination of those to position our elements relative to the most relatively positioned element. The most relatively positioned element is actually the entire browser Chrome. So if I go and add position and then absolute with top 0 and left 0 to all of these different elements, let me do just that. What's going to happen is that they're all going to now they're going to be hidden. They're all there because if we look at the code, we see that the content's still there, but we can't actually see them anymore because they're all stacked on top of each other. So the next question is, well, we see that the blue container is still there, but how do we define which one of these things are going to be on top? Because at this point, these are almost like stacked like a deck of cards. Well, z-index is the attribute that'll actually allow us to define the stacking order of these div containers that are all on top of each other. So right now we have blue. So why don't I define a z-index of, let's say, 4 to box 1? What's going to happen? Actually, before I do that, I'll make sure that I define z-index of 0 to the rest of them. And give it a refresh, and there you go. All of a sudden, the z-index with the highest value is going to be stacked on top. So if I were to set the green one to 0 and go, let's say, to the red one and add a higher number than the rest of these, doesn't have to be 4, let's just add 1, and I'll save it. The expected behavior once I refresh it is that, in fact, that's it, that the red div container is stacked on the highest. Now, you don't have to just use 2 values, one for one element and another for the rest of them. You could use a series of values if you wanted to actually define the way they're going to be. Let me comment out for a moment this positioning stuff. And what I want to do is first set a couple of, set a couple of different widths for this guy. Okay, there we go. We have the header is, the green rather, is at 100% width. I'm going to set box 2 to 75% width. I'll set box 3 50 and box 4 to 25. And then there you go. So that's what that looks like. Now, let's mess around with the z-index thing again. Let's see how we could actually get it to look the way we want. So if we put everything positioned like this, now think about what's going to happen while I'm taking this code off. Which should be on top, and what is it going to look like? Well, there you go. Which one is at the top, on the very stacked the highest? Well, it's the z-index, oh, rather, I'm sorry. Right now, since z-index are all the same, the last one, blue, is there. But if we were to put blue at, let's say, -2, what do you think is going to happen now? Yeah, exactly right. It got pushed behind it. But what if we get box 1, the green one, what if we added that 1? Now it's on top. But obviously, that's what I'm saying. We could add 1, 2, and 3, and all of a sudden we could change it. This is how z-index works, and although my example is pretty basic, if you really think about how you could position these things, there's a lot of potential for making some really intricate backgrounds. Because now I just set everything to top and left 0, but there's nothing stopping you from going 10 pixels, maybe 50 pixels, just adding different values to these things, and seeing really what you could do, because honestly the sky is the limit.